All right, we're getting cracking. Okay, welcome everyone.
Hello everyone, welcome.
Happy New Year. 2019, big year, hopefully for us as Sydney Kings fans.
Yes.
Today we're doing a bit of an interesting podcast. We're doing a mid-year review. So we're going to do some team stats. We're going to grade some players. Ben's going to go through the grading system in a minute. And we're going to get you some interesting things out there from a perspective of where the Kings are sitting in the league. Some really, really interesting stats here, and how the fact that they're coming first with these kind of stats is a bit interesting.
It's interesting, definitely worth looking at, and some head turners there that we'll go through. Shout out to, obviously we're live streaming, so hopefully some people come along and watch.
If not, you can always watch later. That's a great thing about live streaming. Watch later on Facebook. But first live stream was actually a big success.
A
little bit overwhelmed, which is great.
We also are on YouTube and iTunes and Podcast Addict if you want to come along and listen there offline later on. I think we'll end up putting the grading that we come up with up on YouTube so you can see it, and I'll probably post a link on Facebook of what our grades are, so we can come back to it at the end of the year, do a wrap up or something like that. So
sounds good.
All right, so what do you want to go through? Some team stats first.
Let's go through Sydney Kings as a team.
Yes.
Obviously sitting top of the ladder.
Yeah, so 16 games played, 11 wins, 5 losses, 68% win percentage rate, top of the league. I think there are some interesting sort of wrinkles in the stats that we've put out so far. Obviously, there's no advanced analytics, so you can't go and match teams up. Yeah, like I would have really liked to have seen how many teams offensive rebound against us. Yeah, but it's mainly what we've done as a team. Like the stats are basically what we do as a team. So there are a few sort of anomalies. I think the biggest one is probably points per game. We're second last in the league, 85.5 points per game. Second last, just in front of the Taipans, who are 82.8 points per game. Yet we're on top somehow. Yeah,
I just think that just shows you we're more of a defensive team. It's definitely a long shot clock team.
Yep.
We take all the seconds we need to put up the best shot as possible, and it's kind of why we do that high weave and get guys open. And there's not a lot of this. We've really got two people that can move and transition. It's really built around what Bogut can do. Yeah, running up the floor.
Yeah,
so that makes a lot of sense why we're like that. But I mean, also, as you're probably going to see, is that teams just don't score against us.
No, well, obviously we've got Bogut, which is the premier rim protector in the league. You look at his blocks per game, 3 blocks per game. He is sitting at the top, and Josh Boone is closest with 1.5 blocks a game.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
and it's hard to see. You can't even see in this. You can't see shots. Kind of steered off per game as well.
Yeah, there's no metric for that, changing shots at the rim. How many you can't go in and look at how many teams finish at the rim, like by distance. Like if you look at the NBA stats, B-Ball Reference will put every shot from how far it is on the floor, and you can see, who can finish at the rim and stuff like that.
I think you can probably see in the fact how many teams just put 3 points up against us.
Yes.
They're like, we can't get to the rim, so we're just going to jack up threes. And watching the last game against Brisbane, first quarter, was hilarity.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not going to even try.
The fourth quarter where I think they went 0-8 in the fourth quarter. Obviously, who is at the top of the points per game? I think it's Adelaide, or is it Melbourne? It is the 36ers here, Adelaide. So 95.5 points per game compared to our 85.5 points per game. That's a big difference. Like it's not
10 points.
I wouldn't say, in terms of how advanced and how good the league is, I wouldn't say those numbers are that bad for the discrepancy's not that bad, really, for the caliber of this league. But I still think, we could probably score a little bit better. It's just the way we score is a little bit different. I mean, we look for a better shot if you can get a better shot. So that's part of how we play. And I personally think it's a better way to play the game. Like, you're going to get more rewards, I think, if you can execute this properly rather than if you just run and gun and try and, if you look at how many points that Melbourne had scored against us, they're the highest in the league. I think they're 1,200 points scored against them. Yet at the same time, scored the most points as well.
Yeah. It's a higher tempo game when you play against Melbourne. Although saying that, Sydney Melbourne's always pretty brick city, and a lot of shot changing, a lot of trying to push the tempo, but then it just kind of breaks down into this grit.
It's almost everyone sort of is nervous and don't try and do too much, or don't try and do anything outrageous because you might look silly or it might not come off.
A lot of ISO. That's the other thing as well. You can kind of see smooth transition against teams like Adelaide and even, Taipans and Illawarra to a certain extent. But against Melbourne, it's just like, okay, right, all plays are breaking down because we've just guarded so well. Let's just
and
ISO.
both teams defensively, play well against each other, match up, coached well. Both teams have coached really well, especially like Melbourne's probably the best, and Perth coached in the team.
Yeah,
I think Sydney's starting to sort of come up through that.
Yeah, I think Gaze has definitely shown that he has got coaching prowess, and it's not just what's happening. I think we're starting to see plays evolve with definitely go-to plays, some roll and dunks and.
I feel like it's a new thing though. The way we're playing is new to the league and maybe new to some of these guys. They're having to take different steps in their career. Like obviously one of the biggest ones is Randall looks like he's changing his game from just putting up as many shots as he can, being the single dedicated isolation scorer and volume shooter. He's starting to realize and play a lot better. I can use Bogut. I can do this. I can find guys.
Yeah, more of that facilitative player.
Yeah, I mean, not
like hugely facilitative, but he's not just trying to run the floor every 2 seconds and score in transition and get to the to the line.
And plus, obviously, he has done that in the past, so he has that in his locker, and he can pull that out if he needs to, which is good. Field goal percentage 47% from the field on 67.6 attempts per game. That's 31.9 makes per game. It's the second best field goal percentage in the league. In terms of makes, I think Brisbane are the team that's ahead of us, and it's by maybe like 0.2, really. So it's a tiny, tiny margin. And then the 36ers, I think, are 46, so they're behind us. I think that's a staple of how we play. It's like we if there's a better shot on, we try and look for that shot.
Yeah.
I think, like as I said, Randall's starting to play a different type of game. Like from watching last year and then to this year, like he's added different aspects to his game, and it still feels like he can't quite do it yet, or he's still learning. He's still trying to find his feet in this system. But at the same time, it feels like his game is going to really get a lot better as the season goes on, as he works it all out. Shooting 50.3% from two, which is pretty good. 23.3 makes from 46.3 attempts. That's the fifth best percentage in the league. It's also fifth highest amount of 2-point shots. Adelaide's the most, with 53.1 to our 46.3. We're also the fifth highest in 2 points made, and Adelaide's obviously the best with their 27 compared to our 23.3. Our mid-range, it's
really only Randall,
I think, and probably Bogut around the rim is about it.
Like,
Newley's a very sort of focused, get to the line type of guy. David Ware will shoot when he's open. That's about it. And then your bench scorers.
Kick it, use a back down man.
Yeah, and then Adnam, who tries to create first and then score later. And then Dane Pennell, who obviously doesn't really take shots when he's on offense. So that's not too bad. That's a bit of an oddity, though. Fifth in the league, yet first. Yeah. So it tells you about how good the quality of the looks we are getting and the ability to make those shots, which, again, I think is important to winning games. It's not just take as many shots, like rely on volume, try and just run as hard as you can. Like we're focusing on trying to play a better style and a better brand.
I think basketball. It just shows you that Gaze is almost happy with our ability to lock down defend.
Mm-hmm.
Defend in the paint as a main thing. They still seem to get open shots on the perimeter.
Yeah,
and then they just seem to tank it.
Yeah.
It just seems to be like one team is one game away from getting hot on the perimeter against us, just blowing us out because we really got Lish and potentially Bogut when he comes out, but then it kind of that's not his for in the FIBA rules. You obviously can kind of just
hang around,
camp in the paint.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just shows that it's a slower game when you play Sydney plays. It's that higher percentage, higher reward game, and just making the best look as best as possible.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I think, again, like that's a style that is probably newish to the league, but it's a style that's going to advance the wider league itself. Like if we have success playing this over the next couple of years and teams try and follow suit, like we don't need to just put up volume in numbers. What we need to do is create better shots for each other. Like it'll make the general quality of the league go up, I think. So onto 3-point percentage, 40% from 3 on 9 makes from 21 attempts. So we've got the second best 3-point percentage in the league, I think, behind Brisbane.
Yep.
And then if you look at
second last in attempts,
like we're obviously not creating 3-point attempts.
But that's the thing. You very rarely see a pick for where to come around. We don't really have curl 3 shooters. Got Lish, who kind of is that isolative 3 shooter. David Ware will get open for a corner 3, same as Newley. So there's not those guys that, all right, let's screen. He's going to curl around and shoot a 3, which most teams seem to have one guy like that.
Yeah. And Randall doesn't seem to get, like, if you watch Melbourne, they set their screens very high, and it's almost like Ware and especially Bryce Cotton, they come off a screen with 2 steps. So they're shooting on the run, whereas Randall's not really that kind of, like, Randall's not a step into a 3 type of shooter. Like, he's a step sideways, set himself and shoot 3-point shooter. And Lish is kind of the same. Like, Lish can create his own shot off the dribble, but he's mainly a catch, set and shoot. He's not a fast moving 3-point shooter like a JJ Redick or something like that.
There's no transition 3 shooters in our like fast transition.
No, I don't think so. Maybe it's all sort of
like knockdown.
It's either knockdown or it's trail up, like kick it trailing out to the 10 o'clock spot and shooting a trail out 3 or something like that. I'd like to see Randall sort of create more off the dribble for himself, but mainly he's trying to get to the basket, really.
Yeah,
and
he's trying to do the old 3-point play.
Yeah. And we'll go through the individual stats later. So there's some interesting stuff surrounding Randall. 76% from the free throw line. That's pretty poor, man. That's especially at the start of the season, we were sort of talking up how great the free throw shooting was in the league in general. And we're obviously 5th in free throw percentage. Perth are the best with 79%, and then Melbourne are second with 77%. So not too far behind.
Not too far behind. It's just,
The other thing is the amount attempted is very low, I think, for us. I think it was second
Some
last.
of the games we've just been like just terrible calls, like bad reffing. People should go like Adnam and Bowen should be getting the line way more than they do.
I think Randall should as well.
Yeah. He gets axed all the time. It's like, no, that's good contact. Like, really?
I think he's just kind of too fast and too athletic and too skillful to make things look like he got fouled. Like some of the buckets he makes where he gets fouled, you think, he made that shot, like he made that work. But then you look back on it, you're like, oh, that was a foul. Like they should be calling that. So obviously second last in attempts. That's something where also, again, we're going back to Randall not just driving all the time and trying to score at the bucket and draw fouls and stuff like that. But I feel like we're not getting calls a little bit, and I'd like to see that sort of improve and pick up a little bit. Rebounding, we are 6th in the league with 40 per game. Adelaide at the top, 43, so not much difference there. And we've got the premier rebounder in the league, which is Bogut, 12.1 rebounds per game.
Rebounds are linked to shots as well. When you have a higher field goal percentage, you're going to get less rebounds.
Yes, that's offensively. And then defensively, I feel like it's taken us a fair while to work out a 2-man rebounding system. Like Ware had some trouble early on in the year boxing guys out, and then obviously Newley wants to get into transition, so he's not dropping back to box out and grab those long rebounds that fall sort of between the elbow and the low block type of thing. That's basically whenever a team shoot, Bogut's there getting the rebound and everyone else kind of just waits for him to do it. So we've sort of tidied that up a little bit over the last about a month and a bit. I feel like we're tidying that up, but I feel like we're always still vulnerable offensively, especially for those smaller guards that we have rebounding the long rebounds. As far as Bogut's ability in general is, and we're the worst in the league for offensive rebounds with 10 per game, which is by far, I think, the worst. I think Perth might be the top with. Oh no, it's Adelaide. It's 13. Perth and Adelaide with 13 per game. So.
There's not a huge disparity.
But it's not a huge disparity. But
three extra looks per game, it gives you...
It's big. And against our team, it's something that's on the chalkboard. Like get on the glass against this team.
Yeah.
And you notice that playing these other teams that don't do that, it looks like a totally different game for us. Like if the opposition's not crashing the glass, suddenly we look like a much better team, and we have a lot more looks in transition, and we can get out and run, and then we're punishing teams in other ways. But yeah, that's something we need to kind of tidy up. I also think we don't really have good rebounders. Like Bogut's the only good rebounder in the team. Really.
Yeah, I mean David West should be a lot better than he is at 6'10". He's
offensively, I mean it's a tougher thing to offensively rebound, especially if you're not a 7-footer and you're quick. Like Bogut's not that quick for a 7-footer.
Yeah.
Ware is not that much of a hustle guy. You wouldn't look at that guy and go, "Wow, he's springy. He's a hustle guy." That's you should be getting bored. So. I guess you're going to kind of make do with that. And then Newley as well and Kickett as well is kind of older.
You really need to be looking at guys like Bowen to kind of up this and get in there. And he has been. He has been a lot hustling, a lot more.
We'll definitely go through some of that because that's one of the things I noted as well.
Assists per game, I was a little bit intrigued by this one. I thought we would be higher than second last, but I think it's also based on how many buckets you make. So if you're going to have lower points, probably going to have lower assists.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Who was the highest?
I think we were tied last with Taipans. Highest is the Hawks. So
Emmett Nah.
Yeah, Emmett Nah. He's the
unwillingness
master.
to shoot.
Unwillingness to shoot. But he does find guys, man.
But he's crazy. 27 assists without a single turnover.
Yeah.
That's NBA quality.
Yeah, that's going to put your numbers up pretty well. Yeah, it's just against us. He just doesn't want to shoot. And I don't blame him too with Bogut there. Obviously, he alters shots and you don't want to get to the rim. Plus, they have an array of kind of okay shooters. Greeter and Jordan Jet gets to the rim a little bit.
He's an old school player. He's like that old school, just back down, kind of just get into the 2 spot and have your way with guys. A bit of a chub player.
Yeah. And then steals per game, we're the worst with 5 steals per game. Don't really know what to make of that. Kevin Lish is obviously our best pickpocket in this team.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Randall get maybe a bit more, but
a bit more hands in the lane. He gets taken out to the line and just screens so many times. It's hard
it's brutal.
It's hard to kind of get that out of him. But you definitely think Adnam should be a bit more pickpockety.
Yeah.
The smaller guys who can kind of get in between and patrol the lanes a bit.
And then Bowen, I guess, would be the only other guy you kind of think.
More your hustle guy.
But then he gets called for fouls a lot.
Yeah.
Just random fouls. And that's the kind of... I can understand why the start of the season he started getting all these fouls called on him. He's like, I better just dial it back a little bit and not be so aggressive. And then blocks per game, we're tied best at the top with New Zealand and Melbourne with 5 a game. And that's obviously the Bogut factor, 3 per game. I'd like to see some other guys chip in a little bit. Bowen has got a few, yeah. Kickett has none. And obviously, you're not going to look for our guards to
But Kickett's an old player, man. He's 6'10" and can't dunk. He's not going to be able to... Well, that's true. Like he's,
can he dunk? Have you seen him dunk?
I haven't seen him dunk.
No, I haven't either.
He doesn't really. He's not really a guy that gets up for the rim. He's just kind of back down roll. I mean, that's his strength. He's not. He's probably don't give him that anymore. But
no, and he's a veteran type guy.
Yeah,
and what he's giving this team
is way more. Is better than a few highlight dunks.
Yeah, definitely. And Bowen's your guy that you're going to look for highlight dunks, and then obviously younger guys like Deng Deng if they're getting minutes at all, and it's not really a high-flying team. Like, it really doesn't feel like we use that high, like we're high-flying, high energy, we're really bouncy, springy. Wow, this is an athletic team. They're hard to play against. Like, we're more just, we play pure basketball and we pass it around and we try and get the best shot we can. But I'd look to some of our other guys like Bowen and maybe even Ware and Kickett to get a bit more on the defensive, like get a bit more... sort of presence on the defensive end going into the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the main things we should be looking at from those guys. And then that's pretty much it for the team stats that I could gather from the website. The website is not good, man. I'd prefer a bit more in-depth analytics.
Yeah.
I did look through, there's a couple of companies that do stats, but then you got to pay, like it's not publicly available. And it's annoying. Especially when you got a great site like B-Ball Reference, for the NBA, where it just gives you everything right there. You can see it all. Interesting. What's your takeaway from the team stats?
Takeaway is probably tempo. It's not the way we play.
No,
I don't think pace of play is something that we're going to see is upped at all. But I think it's something that we could really use to utilize a bit of Arsenal against a team like Melbourne.
Yep.
I think they like the fact that it's that gritty slowdown when they play Sydney, and potentially pushing the pace of play might help. So getting some faster guys, playing some fast ball, playing a bit more small ball against Melbourne. I think as soon as you see small ball, Boone gets taken out of the game. That's a good offensive option for Melbourne. Yeah. I mean, it takes Bogut out, but Bogut isn't that offensive option. He's that defensive. And you need guys like Bowen, potentially, you know, Ware playing the 5, just being a bit quicker through transition. And that might work. I mean, you've got to try something. You've lost 3 games against them.
Yeah.
It's something needs to happen, and, you know, that's potentially one thing. But look, it's nothing really. I thought we'd maybe have a few more assists, but it makes sense. Less points, less assists. Yeah, nothing really startling out of that. Should we move on to play grading?
Yeah. So the only other thing I would say about that Melbourne is, in terms of, if you look at our team side by side with Melbourne have a lot more versatility through the 3 and 4. Like those 2 guys like Barlow and Goulding can even play at the 3. Like they're more versatile guys. Like our guy is Bowen, who's a first year NBA rookie basically. So you can't just go, right, well, you get out there and do everything for us, mate, because it's not there yet. Like we don't have that extra guy who can do those sorts of things. So when you come up against Melbourne, I just think that's where they've got the wood on us a little bit. But we're just going to have to look for a different way to attack them. We kind of a couple of times went to Bogut a little bit inside, and that's not his thing. And
no, I think Boone's a good enough defender as well to kind of throw him and change his shot as well.
And I think teams are going to look to play against us and go, right, we want to get at Bogut really early, putting off his offensive game, and then hopefully his defensive game suffers.
Yeah.
But it's kind of happened sometimes and kind of hasn't happened at the same times. But yeah, no, I think the strangest one really is free throw attempts for me. Like we should be getting to the line a lot more.
Yeah, but that definitely some poor
refs.
Riffing.
And then obviously our field goal potential, like that's fantastic for us, the second best. I think we're getting a lot of good looks too. And if we're continuing to do that through the season, we're going to have a really good season and finish up. And if you come to playoff basketball, I think that's a much better, you know, one-on-one matchup to play a team in a playoff scenario. It's a much better way to be playing. So getting on to the players now, the player stats and grades. The grading system, obviously A is top notch, and then you go plus and minus for however you want to sort of grade someone. Yep. B is pretty good, C is average, can do better, and then D is poor. And we didn't have any Ds, spoiler alert, but you know we'll go through and we'll sort of give our opinions and stuff like that. So the first, we'll go through, we'll categorize them into ungradables, which is Deng Deng, Tom Wilson, and Deng Akuth. Almost had a Deng misdiagnosis there. Which I don't think you can grade them because they haven't played enough minutes. They've all played under 100 minutes, and I think all of them have played under 30 minutes. So you can't really grade them. And then bench guys, obviously all of our bench guys, and then the starters to finish with. We'll go by minutes played all the way through from the bottom to the top. So Deng Akuth, 4 appearances, total of 2 minutes and 42 seconds on the court.
Whoop, whoop.
He's attempted 1 field goal, which was a 2 that he missed. And then obviously, how could he fit in the team? What do you reckon we could get him? How do you reckon we could get him in the team?
The trash minutes is a big thing, but we don't seem to get that. No. I think he needs to be playing some minutes against teams like the Taipans.
Yeah.
Although not against Nate Jawai, obviously, because I think Nate Jawai would have his way with Deng Akuth.
Yeah.
But against guys like, against Illawarra, teams like Illawarra, Taipans, where you know that potentially, 2 minutes left in the first quarter, get him in there, throw him in. Bogut goes down, you've got Pinot. So you need to have someone playing some minutes to back up Pinot.
Yeah.
And then, that will give that guy confidence. I think we're first. We need the top 2 seed. But if we're getting there and we see like we're getting there, especially in this run of games, start to give these guys a bit more minutes.
Yeah. A bit more of a rotation.
Bit more of a rotation through.
So again, like I've always said, like there's not enough time, man. There's not enough time in these games.
This is why we need to go to a 48-minute game. I think we need to go to NBA rules like it used to be. It used to be like that. The NBL was the NBA rules. Now we've kind of go, FIBA. FIBA's boring.
Yeah. And then there's not enough teams either. Like there's not enough bad teams. Like if there was another 4 more teams that were bad, then maybe you could get some minutes out there. And then Tom Wilson, 6 appearances, a total of 12 minutes and 29 on the court.
2 boards and 2 turnovers.
2 boards, 2 turnovers. So he did have that knee injury, so it's understandable that they didn't rush him back. Kyle Adnam as well has been playing really well, so I think that's kind of eaten his minutes a little bit. Our guards in general have been playing quite well, so there hasn't really been a need to dip in. And touch wood, everyone's been fit.
Everyone's fit, healthy, yeah.
Someone like Bogut went down, you would see a Deng Akuth. And then if someone like Lish did go down, I think, and that's when Tom Wilson played against the Breakers back at the start of the season. He had 1 game off and Kyle Adnam started. Maybe he transplanted his knee to Bogut.
Could do.
That's why Bogut's been playing fantastic and he hasn't had any injuries. Touch wood. I don't think they can be graded, so I didn't put a grading down for them. The other one was Deng Deng. Obviously, he has had 10 appearances off the bench. 1 big spinning 180 finish.
Yes, he's quite athletic.
Yeah, springy.
Springy, doesn't seem to be too lanky like Deng Akuth. Deng Akuth's the ultimate lank monster.
Yeah.
Seems to be a bit more solid, a bit more of a hustle guy, can get up there, run the floor pretty easily. But obviously athletic with that big 180 oop.
Yeah, that was really good. A total of 25 minutes and 7 seconds on the court, 1.2 points per game. Shooting 5 of 7 means he's 71% at the highest field goal percentage for the team.
He did miss that really easy dunk.
Yeah, and I think he missed a really bad bunny too against Melbourne. Like he was right there and just missed it. Hasn't attempted any threes. 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He has got 15 rebounds, which isn't too bad, and then 2 turnovers. Strengths. I think his strength is his mentality. He's obviously coming in when he can get his minutes, and he looks ready. Looks like he's trying to make things happen. It must be hard sitting on the bench knowing, like, not necessarily that you guys are fit, but it must be hard, like, having to be ready, like, not knowing, I didn't play tonight, will I get minutes tomorrow? Like, I feel like that's a strength in him that when we have seen him, he's put together some
good minutes. Look, I think that preseason we saw a lot of him. We're like, this guy's actually pretty good. Like some of the step back fades,
cutting as well. To the hoop.
So it's just we've just had such good run with no injuries that he hasn't been able to break in, but it's kind of really good to see this. I think this is his first professional season, that there's a guy that if we lose a guy next year, slot him in. He's ready to go. So definitely a hustle man, athletic, and a good shooter from what I see from his strengths.
So I think if Ware was to go down, that's where you might slot him in at the 4 and give him minutes. I guess probably Kickett is the guy that comes off the bench for Ware, and then maybe like just shuffle up the lineup a little bit, the roster. That's maybe where you could get some shooting or some floor spacing. But apart from that, like his fundamentals, so onto weaknesses, his fundamentals are a little bit ragged, and he doesn't have the same sort of body as a Kickett and a Pinot and a Ware that set screens, and he's a big individual that creates some body space for around the rim for guys like Newley to get to the rim, and screening and stuff like that. Apart from that, I don't think we've seen any glaring weaknesses in his game in the small sample size that we've had.
Yeah, not yet.
And a tentative grade. Oh, and his highlight of the season was, of course, that reverse oop, that baseline oop against the Breakers. And mama, there goes that Deng. That was fantastic, man. I was there watching that. It sucked because I had my phone ready. I was going to try and take a video, and I was just kind of getting my phone out. I looked up, and he did that, and I was like, damn it. I wish I had my phone ready for that. But yeah, it's fantastic. Nice little baseline run, and then a spinning finish. I think it was Randall tossed that one up. Yeah. And then a tentative grading of C. I mean, you haven't seen him
really enough. But C, he's not been poor. So you got to give him a C or a C+, I think.
Yeah, C+. I'm happy to give him a C+. What do you reckon? Tentative grade?
C+.
C+ for you.
Yeah, I think he's shown. He's come off only 15 rebounds in really not a lot of minutes, and some good shooting when he has been on, and some a nice highlight. But preseason he was fantastic.
Yeah, he looked really good against some of those colleges and stuff like that. And again, like, we felt like we were playing a little bit more freedom in those games, as apart from. Now we're kind of playing a little bit like it's NBL and there's pressure and it's crunch time, guys. We got to step up, and we got to make sure we don't make any mistakes. So onto the bench guys now. So the first guy, Dane Pinot.
Pinot, yep. a total of 2 games with a shitty haircut assisted by Emmett Nah. It was the worst thing ever.
Oh, it's hilarious, man. I think he had to tidy it up a little bit, it looked like.
Yeah, he does. I mean, someone, you obviously heard the
game.
commentators just like ragging on him.
It
It's
was
terrible. It's
bad.
like, get rid of the mullet.
I think he's living with Emmett Nah, actually. I think they're housemates. But they played together at St. Mary's as well. So he's part of that St. Mary's connection that we have from the Australian basketball point of view. We've seen a few guys, Paddy Mills, Jock Landale, Delhi. So hopefully we can see a few more guys go over there. He's made 16 appearances, all of them off the bench. Total of 132 minutes, 41 seconds, averaging 8 minutes a game. He's that slot guy, man. You can tell he's Gay. That's Gaze's first guy. First guy off the bench, slot him in there, give him 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess the way everything's traveling, it's all working out nicely. You can't flip Deng Deng and Pinot.
No.
Like there's no room to just go, well, you're not doing anything. We need to flip that spot. Like there's nothing really indicating that we have to do that.
He's definitely the backup 5.
Yeah.
That's where, that's what we need him at.
He's shooting 43% from the field on 0.8 attempts per game. So he's only taken 14 shots and he's made 6 of them this season. So no offense to his time on the floor. I still think his fundamentals are probably better and his body's better built to play the style that we want him to want that position to play. He's got a bigger body and can screen better and smart cutter. He does cut well. You obviously don't find him. He stoned a couple at the rims as well.
Yeah.
Blown a couple of layups.
He tends to kind of sit in the middle and bring the 5 out, and they play that small ball kind of shooting game when he's on the floor.
And he handles a little bit. He's kind of like a mini Bogut, but like a Chubb version of Bogut.
Yeah.
Without the handles. And
he does
passing.
screen quite well. I have seen some nice screens off him. It'd be interesting to see. Again, you can't see it on the stats, but screen assist would be a good stat to have a look at on his time. I think that would be quite efficient.
Getting to the line for 2 of 2 for the line, that's about it. Obviously, you want him to try and get to the line a little bit more if he's not scoring at all from the field. He has 42 rebounds for the season, 2.6 per game, 5 assists and 5 steals, 7 blocks. He's one that maybe you could think, can you get a few more blocks defensively? Yeah. Gets scored on a little bit. Obviously, we'll go to the weaknesses. He just gets scored on a fair bit. And I feel sorry for him sometimes because it's not his fault. Like sometimes he has to come out and be the weak link. Like we've taken Bogut off the floor and everyone goes, right, we've got to score against this team.
Yeah, they're just going straight at him.
Yeah, which, he takes on the chin and he doesn't seem to suffer from that. Apart from that, weaknesses maybe his offensive game is just
he's got an
there.
elbow
There's
game.
nothing there.
There's a little bit of a baby hook to his arsenal, but
it's mainly free looks at the rim. Basically, is all he's going to get if he gets them.
But again, it may be one of those things. Is he's just told that no, your job is literally to be a body out there, crash the glass, and look to hand off.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just
as long as he's happy with that, like I'm okay with that because fundamentally he does all of that stuff really well.
He does fundamentals quite well. My only kind of drawback is that Bogut hasn't been a healthy player for many years.
Yeah.
I think we're really lucky. He's really leaned down. He seems a lot healthier at the moment, but if he goes down, there's that real vacuum of what do we do? Well, we need someone with a little bit of offensive prowess because Bogut's putting up 10 to 12 points a game.
So I guess
Dengakuth's probably not going to be there. He's that like lanky rim protector. He's going to do that part of it, but it'd be nice to see if Pinot could develop a little bit of an elbow game.
Yeah, like a
I mean, you look at Harry Froling and the dude can, do everything.
Yeah.
We need someone with maybe a little bit of a range, 10-foot range, can draw players out by using the elbow, and that gives guys like Newley a free lane, especially when it's so crowded.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like they're able to do that. They kind of just sit there, and that's why it's a little bit crowded on Bogut's offensive end. Is when Bogut's around there, there is no lane.
Yeah.
Because he's not really an elbow guy. He's that baby hook, sky hook kind of guy, 5 feet. If he developed an elbow game, he's never going to. But it's going to draw the 5 out and give our slashers like Randall way more room. How often does he dribble through 3 guys in traffic?
Yeah.
It'll take 1 or 2 guys out of there. So that would be a really good thing because that would change up the offensive Sydney had so varyingly against some teams.
So if you took Bogut and you split him into 2 players, you'd get Pinot and Dengakuth. Like Dengakuth as the defensive shot blocker, and then Pinot as the kind of guy who could score a little bit. Obviously, we haven't seen him try and be a go-to scorer, and that's not his role. But obviously, as a strength, I've put here helping out with fundamentals like rebounding, spacing, and screening. That's obviously important, I think. And it's enough to keep getting him those 8 minutes a night, because he's shown that he can screen and he's shown that he can space the floor a little bit. And even he's highlighted the season. Like I put, he hasn't had any, but I think the highlight of his season was when Brian Bowen dunked on him. And I think it was McCarron as well against Melbourne. Like it dunked on both of them pretty much. But it showed that Pinot can get to the rim. Yeah. And it was I think it was against Perth, because on that same night when Ware had that game winner, 2 guys ran to the same spot again. So it showed some of these guys know, like with their IQ, they know where to be. It just, Brian Bowen finishes that because obviously he's the high flyer. Yeah. So the half year grade I had for Dane Pinot was a C.
I'm happy with a C. I think that we haven't seen enough of him. Maybe he's just playing that role guy. And we haven't seen what is... And you know what? It's crazy because old Isaac Humpho...
Yeah. Man.
Some of the dribble drives and the threes, and it's just like, we didn't see any of this for Sydney last year. And in the G League, he's just killing it.
Yeah.
This big man can actually run the floor as a 7-footer. Like, if you want to find out more, we're going to do a G League update podcast.
Pretty soon
on our Aussies podcast, talk more about Humpho. But dude, he's killing it over there.
Yeah, I know, and he's shown so many more array of moves, like around the rim, driving, like zipper cuts, cutting back door. Like he's shown it all. I guess the NBL is just not the same. It's not the same style.
More spacing.
It's more spacing. Yeah. It's a lot more collapsed and congested.
It's taking the 5 out of the paint.
Yeah.
And this is why Harden gets 42 points a game, and on 8 made shots, you just take everyone out and it's 1v1. It's street ball.
So it sucks. It's good for him, but it sucks for us because we could have used that kind of guy this year. But no, I'm chuffed for him for doing really well over in the US, because he's only 20, I think, or 21. Yeah. And he's got plenty of time ahead of him to, to
break in. There's definitely some teams like Atlanta that could use a player like that.
Okay, so on to Wild Kyle Adnam.
You just wanted to say Wild Kyle.
Yeah, I just love saying Wild Kyle Adnam. 6.4 points per game for him. 32 separate instances of commentators yelling Wild Kyle Adnam, which is a good stat. I like that stat. Made all 16 appearances off the bench. Actually, no, he didn't. He made one starting against New Zealand. Yeah. A total of 232 minutes and 36 seconds. Averaging 15 minutes per game, shooting 41% from the field on 5.3 attempts, making 35 out of 85. Shooting 3-ball at 39% on 2.3 looks per game. Probably could up that a little bit. For him, he's quite a good shooter, making 15 of 38. And then shooting 95% from the line, 18 of 19 so far.
And he should be getting there a lot more than he does. He just gets axed so much.
He's so small, and then you just think, he wasn't fouled, and then he ends up like 6 feet away from the basket.
Yeah, it's just like, there's a hip in there that's just been whacked him into a building.
So in terms of rebounding, 16 rebounds, but he's a guard, so that's not what he's known for. 28 assists, which is really good for him. 5 steals.
Should be able to
up that a little bit. The problem is his size, and aggressively defending in the NBL, like laterally. When you don't have the size on you, you get blown by really quickly, and it becomes like a liability. So you obviously want to stay in front of your man. Like Lish is the master of doing that, and we'll go through Lish a little bit later. But he's the master of on-ball defense and being able to funnel guys into Bogut, especially. That's another thing you don't see is how many guys were funneled into Bogut because of good perimeter defense. 2 blocks. Which is pretty good. I didn't have time to go through and find who those victims were, but 2 blocks for Wild Kyle, it's pretty good. 15 turnovers, that's a little bit high, but high risk, high reward system. We got to just kind of say, there's going to be a lot of turnovers. Strengths,
I think his speed, shooting ability to
catch
and shoot player, bit of court vision. I think just pace of play. I think pace goes up when he's on the floor.
Yep.
That's a definite. It just fits in really well as a backup. I mean, I definitely see him running his own team in the NBL in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're not going to keep guys like him in a backup role forever once the league expands.
I I think he's too good. Yeah,
I think he's too
to run
good.
his own unit. Yeah,
I think he's too good, which is a big thing for him. I think that the only weakness to his game is just he's undersized.
Yeah, that's you can't hold that against him, really.
You can't hold it against him. It's just part of the league. We don't have, we watch the NBA and we're seeing more of that point forward come through, and this big guy can handle the ball, but we're still very much that 5'10", 5'11", good player doesn't make it overseas, or he's a point guard in our league.
Yeah.
But look, handles the ball really well.
Generally runs the point really well too, I think. And having a guy like Randall, it obviously, like, in terms of how elite Randall is, you've got big shoes to fill if you're coming in to, obviously Randall's played our most minutes, and how good Adnam's game fits the way we play is a testament to the lineups we can play him in. Like, we can switch Lish around, we can have Lish run the point as well, have Adnam there, we can have Randall. Like, it's just the perfect glue guy to match those four guys together and make it all work.
It's never like, Adnam's on the floor, shit, we're gonna
have to work something out here.
It's just like, yep, he slots in, beautiful. Our guards the trio of guards are complete.
And then he's another one who I've started to feel like if he's getting a catch and shoot option, you're like, he's going to make this. Bang, and he makes it. It's kind of like at the start of the season, felt like Kick It, and Lish was the same, where whenever Lish spotted up and was open, you're like, yep, he's going to make that for sure. So, which is good. Like, I hope he does get a lot more catch and shoot opportunities because he can shoot the 3-ball. Weaknesses, obviously undersized in that. So that's really about it. I think could keep the turnovers down a little bit more, but that's, nitpicking. Highlights, his game off for New Zealand in game 3 against New Zealand.
Yeah, he was on fire.
Yeah, on fire. 15 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 assists, plus 24 on the night. That was when Lish was out with a head injury. So you showed that he could, take up the reins, and, if guys go down, he's the guy that's going to step up and take their place. Half year grade, I had B+.
I'm going to give him A.
A, nice.
Yeah, I think that we're very lucky, obviously, that we've picked him up in the lineup. I think he's a lot better than other rotation guards in the league. So, and he's had a really good season. These are all career stats from him as well. So no way up anything less than an A for me.
I think we can move on to Brian Tugs Bowen.
Tugsy,
6.4 points per game. 26 loose ball fouls called on him with a ratio of 1 to 2, being crunched without a foul call.
It's just like,
he gets so many loose ball fouls. It's just weird.
And you're just like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad.
So he's made all 16 of his appearances off the bench, obviously, a total of 259 minutes and 49 seconds, averaging 16 points per game. 16 minutes per game.
Minute.
A key point that I wanted to make is he's an important part of our bench rotation. Pinot, Kick It obviously is the first guy. Adnam's the next guy. Then I think it's Bowen and Pinot are the other two guys. They've allowed that lineup, like they've allowed the lineup crunch to stay away from having to throw guys like Dengakuthi before they're needed, really. We're not just going to just throw anyone out there. Like, we need something here, which is really important. And obviously Bowen's shooting 44% from the field on 4.5 attempts per game. I'd like to see that go up a little bit. He's quite non-demanding. Low maintenance.
He could have gone. I mean, I don't know why any other team like Illawarra had a really strong chance of actually going for him, and they didn't. It's just like he could be playing 30 minutes at Illawarra and absolutely killing it. Like, he's that kind of player.
And the Taipans as well.
Yeah, it's just like they went down the second round pick with Devon Hall, and it hasn't really worked out for them at all. Yeah. So.
Then he's made 32 out of 73, shooting 3-ball at 35% on 1.2 looks per game. That's not too bad, but I'd like to see him get more open 3-pointers. He's made 7 of 20, the lowest attempts in our team. So we're obviously where he fits inside the arc. It just means he can't, like, he's putting out fires for other guys. Basically, is where he struggles to get to.
He does a lot of like last minute kind of shots. Like, it's just like, clock's one down, he's found himself open, I'm just going to jack up a 3.
Yeah, or even a mid-range too. Sometimes he'll just step in and shoot a mid-range and a late shot clock scenario. But it's still, I still feel like he's an important piece off the bench. He's shooting 76% from the free throw line. It's a high volume too, 2.6 free throws per game, 32 or 42. I'd like to see him get more to the line. Like he just doesn't get called for fouls enough because he gets train wrecked a fair bit at the rim. 48 rebounds, 3 a game, 10 assists. I'd like to see that go up a little bit. 4 steals, 5 blocks, 12 turnovers. Turnovers a little bit high, but that's all right. We're a risk-reward team. Obviously, we're going to be saying that a lot, I think, with turnovers too high, but we're trying to play a high volume, high IQ style of ball. Strengths. Attitude, IQ, rebounding the ball. It's very important that he comes in and rebounds.
I'm the import kind of philosophy. Like I'm here to slot into this team and be the great just go-to guy when it needs to. It seems like when we're down a little bit, he hustles.
Yes.
That's definitely something I've noticed. Like we're down a little bit. All right, he's just going to crash the glass. He gets fouled, but hey, it gives us a bit of a boost.
Yep.
Which is really nice.
So he's our only size guy off the bench to lock down those bigger guards. He can finish plays, and he's shown spurts of high IQ basketball off the bench, which you're talking about, his hustle plays and stuff like that. And he can create his own shot off the dribble, usually from the elbow, which is important. His weaknesses, he gets penalised by the FIBA rules and the NBL rest a little bit too much, I think. Yeah. Could get himself some more open looks in the flow of the offense. I feel like he tries to help out a little bit too much, but that'll come with time and understanding. He has to fit in as the big guy who basically has to carry the load for those smaller guys on the perimeter. More turnovers than assists, but that's fine. You know, as we've said, high risk, high reward stuff. He's highlighted. And he's young too. Yeah, that's true. We're probably not going to see him next season, so it's a kind of one and done for him.
Yeah, he'll be into the draft. But it could be a draft and stash depending where he comes into the draft piece. But I would definitely say late first round. Yeah,
and highlight of the season was in that Melbourne loss. 84-82, that on Randall's big night. He had 15 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 7 of 8 from the line, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. It was a great night and a heartbreaking loss.
Indeed.
A half-year grade that I gave him was a B.
Yeah, I give B. B's good.
I think between B and B+, if he was the guy that was demanding more, then maybe, and getting more, he might be a B+. But I think B's like, he's slotted
just a
in.
slotting
good
guy.
Attitude. He could score the ball a little bit more, but he's shown that he has the attitude to sort of fit in with this team and try and make it better as much as he possibly can. On to Daniel Kickett now, 10.8 points per game. He's the last of the bench unit and the most minutes of the bench unit. So he has a total of 363 minutes, 29. Played this season averaging 29 minutes per game. So he has 103 uncalled travels on drop step and up and under moves. He travels so much that gets uncalled. So maybe, we harp on the rest a little bit, but I find myself watching his post moves and just going travel. Oh, sweet. He put it in. Nice. Good work, Kicks. He's made all 16 appearances off the bench so far. I think he's been a bit unlucky. He could very well have just come into the rotation for Ware at some point there during the height of the We Hate David Ware phase that everyone went through.
Yeah, it wasn't so much We Hate David Ware. David Ware just wasn't doing what we needed to do. Didn't really see what the David Ware show could do. Still think during that period that he was smuggled into Gaze's basement with some tape around a chair and Travis came out on a bit of a holiday and played quite well, but yeah.
So he's shooting 55% from the field on 7.6 attempts per game, made 64 of 123. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Shooting from inside is 55% on 4.8 looks. So he brought out post moves kick it, and he really dug us out of a few holes, I think, with his post game.
Definitely.
Making 43 of 78 attempts and shooting the 3 ball at 47%. I think that's our highest three percentage, yes, because Lish was really high. I think Lish was at 50% at one stage, but he dropped back.
And then Yuli was at 45 or something. He's dropped back as well.
2.8 looks per game, making 21 of 45. I'd like to see him shoot the 3 ball a little bit more, but I don't think...
There was like a few games there where he just went cold.
Yeah,
he wasn't making many attempts, but he just wouldn't shoot it.
Yeah, that's when he brought out post kicker and you were like, okay, nice. It's nice to see that you transitioned your game a little bit and thought you'd pulled something else out of the bag.
But I don't think the high weave works for kickers shooting game as well. It's kind of like Randall needs to drive in and knock. He's that knockdown 10 o'clock, 10, 12 o'clock shooter.
He's
drive in, that single, kick out.
Yeah, drive and pop type guy. Isolation type of guy, one-on-one type 3-point pick and pop scorer. Shooting 81% from the free throw line. Missed a couple of big ones in Melbourne that hurt us. 25 from 31. 53 rebounds. I'd like to see him rebound the ball a little bit better.
Should be able to. He's a big body. He's not a small guy, but I think that's to do with his age and athleticism, getting a bit older. He's just kind of that veteran shooter. 18 assists.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He's more of that isolated
Finisher.
back down and finisher. 5 steals, again, athleticism and
No blocks.
No blocks, which is a little bit disappointing. He is tall.
Yeah. He's just not that block hunter. Like, obviously, Bogut's the main block hunter. He's more of the size guy. He's looking to size guys out. But at the same time, like, he's also a guy that kind of struggles one-on-one boxing guys out, and being a big body for a guy of his size, he should be a lot better at doing that sort of thing. Also, 21 turnovers. That's a high amount of turnovers for him, but a lot of those are basically sort of live ball stuff like travels and stuff like that.
He does get called for traveling a bit, even though he travels way more than he does.
So strengths, versatile in his scoring. He pulled post kick it out of the bag a few times for good effect. Shoots the 3-ball at a fantastic rate. Top of the arc or at 10 o'clock. He's an old head, veteran presence. He anchors that second unit scoring wise. I think he's done well a couple of times to pull us out.
And he hasn't pulled out the old kick at elbow in the NBL.
Nah. That wasn't good, man. No. He has pulled out the arm grab and the fall over, and he got called for a foul for that.
He gets a bit in there, but that's all right. It's a bit scratchy.
Right. It's good. Weaknesses. His interior defense is just almost gone. Like one-on-one, if he gets isolated on someone, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's understandable. He's 35, I think now. Struggles to match up on more athletic guards and forwards at the perimeter, which you can understand. You try and limit that. And a little bit he gets stuck between boxing out and rebounding.
Yeah.
Like, with Bogut on the floor, he's such a unique player in terms of grabbing as many boards as he does that sometimes you can't, like, you have a split second to make a decision with what Bogut's doing, and it's the wrong decision, and you're left going, I just left my guy in there. Whoops, sorry, guys. That's understandable. And then obviously turnovers are probably a little bit too high, but they're mainly live ball turnovers, I would think, without looking at the data. His highlight of the season, obviously, I think was his big hand in that comeback against Perth. 18 points off the bench, 5 of 6 from the field, 3 of 3 from inside and 2 of 3 from outside, 6 of 6 from the line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and he was plus 13 on the night. It was a massive, even though Ware hit the game winner. I think
it was a big part of the comeback.
And then his half year grade, B+ for me.
I've got him as a B.
B? That's fine.
I just think some of the defense, you can see when he does get blown by a little bit on the defensive end. It is tough to watch sometimes, but that's all good.
So I thought about B, but then I thought, offensively, give him a little bit extra because he's been so good for us offensively. And I think at the 5 spot, like having that shooting gives us that little versatility wrinkle, which is important. So on to the starting 5. We'll start obviously with David Ware, 6.8 points per game. A little bit disappointing that amount of scoring for an import.
Yeah.
But in terms of his role, he has 906 step out and fake screens and slips pick and roll, leaving the guy double team and trapped. So it's a high level of that.
He started he started not to move in the screen phase. He started to set solid screens, which
if we need him to do, because I noticed that he doesn't. Like, he'll just stand there and not screen the guy, and the guy will just go straight around him, and you're just like, mate, screen the guy. 6 weeks spent in Gaze's dungeon, obviously, and Travis Ware possibly imitating him.
Coming out for a bit of a holiday in the G League break.
So all of his 16 appearances were in the starting lineup, obviously, as the starting 5 guy. However, only a total of 304 minutes and 49 seconds, less than Kickett. So Kickett's actually playing more minutes off the bench than him, which I'm okay with. I'm all right with that. And I'm all right with the wrinkle that they're both happy with that. Because if David Ware started being like, no, give me more minutes. So it'd be like,
he doesn't seem to be an ego either. It seems to just sit near his role.
Which is good. Shooting 44% from the field, which is not too bad, really.
It's not crap, but it's not
5.9 attempts per game, 42 of 95. 50 of those are inside the arc at 48%. He doesn't seem to have a dedicated game inside for us.
No.
Kickett's the guy who has all those post moves and stuff like that. David Ware has like the baseline jumper. That's about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really want to put the ball on the floor as well, I found, which is annoying because he gets those opportunities with such a big guy in Bogut and such good guards.
And to spread the floor in transition as well.
Shooting the 3-ball at 40%, not too bad, 18 of 45, and shooting 88% from the line. He just doesn't get there because he doesn't put the ball on the floor and attack the rim enough. 64 rebounds, 4 a game, 7 assists. That's not very high, but he's usually a finisher as well, really. Yeah. It's kind of like it's not that he's the finisher. It's like he's shuffled off to the side.
Yeah.
Just like, just don't bother passing. We'll just kick it to you when we need you to shoot. Like, that's kind of where his offensive game has moved towards. 2 steals on the defensive end and 4 blocks.
Which is a little bit low. It should be a lot higher for a guy that's 6'10" and can get up. He can dunk and he can get up, so he should be able to.
Yeah, he has had a couple of good dunks in transition. So I'd like to see him block more shots. 13 turnovers, that's pretty high for 7 assists.
Pretty terrible.
Strengths, despite probably not being the import that we want, he can knock down wide open shots, and I've seen it.
And he can knock down shots. He can get into places where he is wide open and at least run to a spot that he's wide open, have a look, and has a very quick motion 3.
Yeah, and he can knock it down. And if he could screen properly, he'd get a lot more of those, because
you can
a
roll
lot of the time he leaves Randall trapped in a double team with not being able to screen the guy. The 2 guys can just push up straight onto Randall, and he's got to pass out of a double team, which results in a lot of his turnovers. And then I'd like to see, obviously his weakness offensively just doesn't really fit this team.
Yeah. He would if he was that guy. Like, I understand he's been brought in as a bit of a tall guy to stretch the floor. But again, if you don't put the ball on the floor, you're not going to stretch it. And that knockdown shooter. But you really need to be having 3 to 5 looks per game. So you need to be getting to the corner. He seems not to be able to hit the corner 3 very well. It seems to be that kind of,
wing
7,
sort of,
7 o'clock wing 3. And he doesn't really screen properly. He has been getting a bit better. But
yeah, he has. And like I said about Pinot, if you can do all of that and as well as your X's and O's screening and that, then obviously you're going to be a much better player, even though you don't have offense. So I'd like to see him work on that. His screening is in particular. If he screened properly for Randall, he'd get a lot more open looks, a lot like Kicker at the 10 o'clock spot, like that high pick and pop that draws the double team. He'd get a lot of those. And even if it was passed to him and he could pass out of that double, like out of the guy who just given it to him off a double team, he'd be a lot better integrating into our offense. His highlight of the season obviously was that huge game win against Perth. He had a decent game in New Zealand in Game 3 as well. The big knockdown shot at the end.
Which was a big play, and they ran it specifically for him, and it was good to see that he could do it.
Yeah, clutch type of shot. My half-year grade was C+.
I'm going to give him a C. I think that for an import, for a local player, you'd be like, yep, he's that kind of role player. But for an import that we specifically gone out and get, I think we still need to see a little bit more from him.
Yeah. For me, it was tough between a B- and a C+. I think even C is probably justified as well. He just doesn't do anything offensively that makes you think, wow, like this guy deserves to be in the team. But at the same time, he's not the worst knockdown shooter. So that's something at least.
Yeah. Hopefully we see a bit more of him in the second half of the season, or potentially he gets put back in the dungeon and Travis comes out for a bit of a visit.
So we move on to Brad El Toro Newley, 10.5 points per game, 1 of 8 for the free throw line against Melbourne United.
Old alligator free throw. It's like that hungry hippos.
It's so like he puts it up and then he leaves it there and then he goes like that It's the amount of times that people come off the line because he puts it up and they come off the line and then he goes like that. There should be so many more violations for coming off the free throw line. But so he's made all 16 of his appearances in the starting lineup. Looked good in a headband, obviously, when he played that game with the head wound. That was good. So he's had 393 minutes and 20 seconds, averaging 25 minutes per game, shooting 46% from the field, 8.2 attempts per game. He has made 61 of his 132 looks.
Yeah.
Shooting the 3 ball at 39%. I'd like to see that get maybe a little bit better. That's still pretty
It was
high.
Good. It was up there for a bit. I think the last couple of games it's come down a bit, but his free throw percentage is just terrible for a slasher. For a guy who
gets to the rim a lot.
Yeah.
And 27 to 45, I know it's bad, man. He needs to really get to the line and work on that. What can you do? But because he's our main scorer, mainly he's scoring anyway. Like his body's so big and he can use it so well that he's scoring mainly. In general, he doesn't need to worry about the free throws. But a lot of the time, like he's leaving points at the line. 60% is just not good enough. He's got to work on that. 77 rebounds.
Good rebounder.
Yeah, but
one of our better ones. but he's a big body and he's pretty quick, so he should be able to do it.
But he's your main transition guy, so you don't want him coming back and having to grab boards all the time because he's the guy you want out, like running it, leaking out to the hash mark.
He's the guy you want to be picking up those weird, jack up threes, long rebounds that can just take it and transition and score.
Yeah.
But he seems to be having to get back at times.
Yeah, so 24 assists.
You wouldn't really think he would be assisting. It's not something.
No, he's a finisher as well, I think. Yeah. And then 5 steals, 5 blocks, 18 turnovers. One of those steals was a big clutch steal against Perth too.
Yeah, that was.
When Bogut threw the ball at the clock. So his strengths, our best slash and finish scorer, definitely dangerous in transition. He can knock down the wide open three at 39% in the corner. Not too bad. Just an old warhorse, great veteran, great professional. He does it all.
Yep.
Great role model for this team. Weaknesses, obviously, the free throws. Damn, man, 60%. It's not Vinky Joyce, 8% bad. But it's really bad. 1 of 8 against Melbourne. That hurt us, I think, in that game.
Yeah, definitely.
In a couple of those games. And his highlight of the season was obviously that 26-point game against Adelaide. He broke the hoodoo of away wins, 26 points, 11 of 18 from the field, 7 of 11 from 2, 4 of 7 from 3, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Plus 15 on the night, El Toro.
Yeah.
So I gave him an A-, my grade.
Yeah, I could probably between an A- and a B+.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. What do you reckon, B+? You going B+?
I'm going B+.
I think he's such an important player, but that free throw thing is just like glaring.
For a guy that he prides himself, his game is getting to the rim and getting that and one.
Yeah.
You've got to be 80% free throw shooter.
So that's understandable. It would be interesting, like touchwood, David Ware hasn't been injured, but it would be interesting if David Ware went down, what the lineup change would be.
Because I think Kickett comes into the 4.
Comes in, but playing Newley at the 4 opens up a few different avenues. Obviously, it limits his ability to run in transition, but having him handle and hand off and probably get to the line from the 4 spot might open the floor up a little bit. But of course, he's a great pro and a great role model, and I couldn't be happier with his season so far personally. On to third last, Andrew Bogut.
Big man Bogut.
Yeah, what a monster. Absolute monster of a season. 11.5 points per game, starting all of the games, 475 minutes, shooting 56% from the field for a big guy. It's fantastic, especially he's not known for his interior offense or his go-to offense. He can put the ball in the hoop, but it's not known for it. 9.3 attempts per game. He's about what you want from him. 84 of 149, shooting 57% from the free throw lines. Worse than Brad Newley.
Yeah, but he's a big guy. He's got no elbow as well, so
yeah, he's missing an elbow, and no elbow game either.
Yeah, he's an old school big.
1.7 free throws a game for him. That's too low, I think. He gets fouled a lot.
He gets fouled, but he won't because he's 7 foot. So it's
but
like,
he also fouls guys a lot too. So it's kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. In or out type of thing. 194 rebounds, by far and away the biggest leader in the
rebounding category
in the league in general, as opposed to our rebounders. 60 assists, that's fantastic for a center. Having a center who can assist 3.7 per game is fantastic. 8 steals, 48 blocks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
3 per game. It's insane. Every time I look down at that stat, I'd just be 48 blocks, man.
Yeah, that's potentially 100 points he saved.
Yeah, that's insane. And then 31 turnovers, high risk reward guy.
He gets his pocket pinched from time to time. He's a big guy. Also, you see him when the pass isn't great. He's fumbling. He has to get so far down and he's fumbling around, and that's a steal. And you're like, but it was a poor pass.
And he at least tries to put the ball on the floor as well.
Yeah, he does. And some of the behind the back dribble, behind the back dribble drives. It's just like, wow.
I'd like to see Ware do a little bit more of that, try and put the ball on the floor. Yes. So strengths, obviously a defensive monster. Just look at the numbers, 194 rebounds, 48 blocks this season. Even on offense, he's found a nice little niche. He's scoring Groover's array of baby hooks and post moves, dunks, lob finishes.
Yeah.
On every corner of the floor, he's been immense. Weaknesses, any?
Probably the only weakness, and it's just a weakness of his old school kind of big game, is that there's no elbow. When he has the ball in his hand and it seems like they haven't created a play, they'll just sit back off him.
Yeah.
And so you just, in a fever court, you just crowd the court even more, and then it's just like, well, it's an ISO dribble drive, or it's it seems to be, I'd like to see the stat up of, how many times he has the ball elbow and they just sit back off him. And it's almost like the Ben Simmons effect. The paint just gets so crowded and the play breaks down and we don't score.
Yeah.
So that's my only, shoot the 3 ball maybe once a game. Keep teams honest. Yeah. Even if he hits it at 30%, it's still not that bad. You can do it. I'd seen
love
it.
to see Andrew Bogut shooting threes. That'd be incredible. But even like an elbow jumper, like I think out of like he handles the ball obviously outside the 3-point line, basically because our guards are so good that we don't really need him to handle at the elbow, which I think he's more devastating at the elbow. It'd help Newley get to the basket a little bit better and probably Ware as well. But you don't, like, he's so good, and in this league, you don't need him really to help handle there. Like, it's something we go to later down. The only other sort of the weakness that I see for him is if you goad him into try and score on us, he'll take up the challenge, and then it affects his game a little bit. Like a couple of the games against Melbourne and the one against Perth, and against Illawarra, it was a little bit the same where they kind of mentally goaded him into trying to be the big guy and try and do everything, and then it takes us out of our rhythm a little bit. But obviously the strength on the flip side of that is in all of those games he's gone, I put the hand up and gone, okay, I back off and don't do that, which is important to and a testament to his attitude and how good he is in general. So he's highlighted the season. Every game he gets a double with 3 blocks basically.
Pretty much. All the blocks just swats.
Yeah, so he's 21-point double against the Hawks, probably my favorite. 14 rebounds, 21 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks.
Yeah, it's a big night.
And I went with an A+.
I'm going to go with an MVP grade.
MVP, bigger than A.
Yeah,
MVP.
There's no other stat monster. I think what he does outside the stats in really changing the way teams play against a big. They know he block hunts. They know they have to finish at the elbow, which is a low probability. We're just going to jack up threes. And it seems to be that doesn't trigger anything. It seems teams that get to the paint are able to kick out. They seem to get a bit of a roll on. But against Sydney, there's no roll because they know they've got one avenue. That's to brick threes. So that's why I think he's an MVP. It's not... he's the best scorer. He's the best rebounder. His blocks are amazing. It's the way he changes how teams play the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a testament to the way we play also is that we're starting to get better at funneling guys into him and basically making guys go at him. A few guys have tried and just been swatted like pretty much just straight down the barrel. Like, dude, don't even try.
Don't even go there.
I was thinking about an A because... You don't want him taking more shots, but you kind of want maybe him scoring a little bit more. But at the same time, it's important.
He's going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think Defensive Player of the Year, the minimum.
And he's still getting 10 to 14 points a game out of him.
Yeah, and in terms of like, if you could encase the MVP around, that's about the limit of his ability. Yeah. And maybe it'd knock him down that he doesn't score more. But that's not. But you and I were like, no, that's fine. That's MVP. Still, he's the MVP. But they're going to look at
because they look at Bryce Cotton. But hold on a minute, you score 30 a game, but does that change the way teams play against you?
Yeah,
no.
Well, I like that MVP grade. That's good.
Yeah,
I think that's good. But I went with A+, which is as close as you can get to the MVP.
Anyway,
all right, on to Kevin Lish, the stud. He is a stud. He made a 3 in every game he played this season, but then he had an absolute mare against the Bullets, and that run ended. He's made all 15 appearances in the starting lineup. Obviously missed that New Zealand game. He's played a total of 481 minutes, shooting 45% from the field, 10 attempts per game, 68 from 150, shooting 41% from 3. Like, he was up near 50 earlier in the season.
Yeah, but he's still...
We were worried, I think, about like before the season started. We were looking at it going, man, Kevin Lish's shot has just dropped off a cliff. Like, where has it gone? Yeah. And then, he came out and hit it against some NBL opposition, 31 of 75. Cooled a little, shooting 72% at the line, free throw lines.
Should go up a little bit for the good elbow player that he is.
33 of 46 on 3 free throws a game, 42 rebounds, 45 assists, can handle the ball and pass really well. 26 steals.
He's a good pocket pincher.
Yeah,
he's definitely our best defender by a country mile. Our best defender outside Andrew Bogut,
and he's second on the list behind Jordan Jett with 1.7. So he's 1.6 a game is second in the NBL. He's definitely our best perimeter defender.
And low turnovers per game. I mean, he's not really assisting the ball, but again, he handles. A lot of teams love to full court press Sydney, and he just gets out of it. And I think that's a big part of why we've been so successful.
So his strengths and weaknesses, obviously, he's our best perimeter defender. Can create his own shot off the dribble and knock down threes like it's going out of style. Mr. Reliable. Best assist to turnover ratio we have by some distance, maybe even in the league.
I'd probably say Emmett Na's the best.
Yeah, you're right. But Kevin Lish should be up there, I think. Yeah, obviously, definitely. In terms of steals, he's up there second on the list. No, I don't think there's any weaknesses.
There's no weaknesses. I think it's probably his free throw needs to just tick up to about 80%, and that'd be nice. Yeah, another point a game would be a smooth spot.
So his highlight of the season was 22 points against the Taipans, 8 of 13 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. He was white hot, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. So even when he's scoring, he's still making things happen as well. Yeah. I'd like to see us find him wide open a little bit more, run some plays. Randall with some more dribble drive and kick out to him. My half-year grade, I had A-, but I'm going to change it to an A.
Yeah, I can't go A-. I'm going to go an A as well.
Andy says A. Ultimate glue guy, skipper, captain, great guy, absolute stud.
Stud man.
Can't say, any more about him. Accolades. He's just brilliant. It's been great to watch. And then on to our flagship scorer, Jerome Handles Randall. 18.8 points per game. He's broken the ankles of at least one opponent so far in every game.
Man, some of the ball handling skills, even Uncle Drew, I think would be put to shame by some of his ball handling skills, man. If he was 6'3", 6'4", premier NBA guard.
Yeah, for sure.
Premier NBA guard.
For sure. But he's found his little spot here. I think part of his handle, his ability to handle the ball is his size. He's a small, low center of gravity guy. And like I said before, he's changing his game to integrate into an offense where he's not just a street baller. He's actually playing an all-round point guard type of game. So he's by far and away our most minutes logged, 540 minutes this season.
Very due, though. That's exactly what it should be.
Yeah, definitely. 45% from the field on 15 attempts per game, or nearly 16 attempts per game. 114 of 254. So he's taken 254 shots. That's a lot of shots, but he's our volume guy. Shooting 47% from inside on 11 looks a game. 39% from 3. So 4 attempts per game. Maybe you could push that to 6.
Yeah.
But he's mainly wanting to get inside, really.
Yeah.
He wants to get inside and
he should be hitting to the line way more than he does.
Yeah, way more. So only 3.2 free throws per game. He could be up there 6, 7. Yeah, easily. And 92% of the line. It's
guaranteed
fantastic.
Points. Yeah,
it's points every time.
Good little rebounder.
Rebounds. Yeah, decent. Those long rebounds, I think. 63 assists. Obviously, he's our guy that makes everything happen. 3.9 assists per game. 10 steals.
Could go up a little bit more in the steals. I think he could pocket, but again, he gets really screened hard as well.
He does. He's basically off. On ball, it's pretty much one situation. You're going straight into a screen, and they're trying to switch you every time. That's as well, the Bogut effect kind of plays into that as well because of the way Bogut protects the rim. They've got to run this guy down, and he's our best player. They run this guy through as many screens as possible to wear him down. 50 turnovers is a lot of turnovers, but he's the high volume guy, so you can't really change that. He's the guy that makes everything happen. His strengths, main ball handler, getting to the rim, high volume, 3 ballers money when he's rolling, master of English off the window, can finish inside regularly. And weaknesses, that turnover ratio can improve.
Probably he's undersized as well. He can't really do anything about that. That's just part and parcel of what it is. But sometimes he does get abused by teams on the defensive end.
Yeah, so his highlight of the season was that 35-point night in the loss against Melbourne, which sucked. But he was white hot, 11 from 16, 6 from 9 from 2, 5 from 7 from 3. No assists, but 1 steal. Yeah, he was fantastic that night. It's a shame we couldn't win that. He went against Casper Ware and just kind of torched him. And my grade was an A.
A to A plus. He's somewhere stuck in there. He's one of the better players in the league. Definitely, you couldn't say much more than that. Just some of his ability to handle, and just get to the line and get to the cup. So sometimes you'll see him disappear into the crowd as he's been smashed, and the ball will just go in. You're like,
somehow
it goes in.
I love the ones that just go straight up and then off the window and in, and you're just like, how does he even do that?
Yeah, amazing. Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like that. Game is just,
street ball.
Street ball.
So I think the biggest thing for Randall in general is he's changing that street ball attitude to
definitely going to more of that team oriented facilitator.
The drive and kick is going to be a big thing down the end of this season. He's going to have to drive and kick a lot more because a lot of teams are going to try and hard double, trap him up high, run him around screens. He's going to get abused a little bit on defense, but he's the guy that's shown every season he's been with us, all the 2-3 seasons he's been with us, that he eats it up. He's a top professional and he's a fantastic player.
Cool.
That's everyone.
Guys.
Smashed all of that out.
Sweet.
Fantastic season so far. It's been great to watch.
It is. I look forward to the next couple of games, which should be some easy wins.
Illawarra away on the 5th, I believe that is.
Yeah.
The next one. And then some easy beats, Taipans, and then Breakers, I think, after that.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
That's about it. That was a long one.
We shall wrap. Yeah, it was good. Hopefully everyone gets out. We'll do this again at the end of the year.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's really watching on the stream because it's kind of everyone's gone back to work,
Or everyone's just chilling out in the sun.
If you can listen to us later, like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, on iTunes, and Pod Addict, on Facebook.
It'll be on the groups. And Aussies Taking over the NBA, our NBA Premier NBA podcast.
Yes, which we're going to record after this, after I have a glass of water and cool down a little bit.
Indeed. All right, guys.
All right, everyone, peace.